The bosses in Elden Ring are some of my favorite boss fights of all time, and in my opinion, compared to all the other Souls games, in terms of art design, they are way better. However, despite having a decent amount of great bosses, the game still had some that's, let's just say, weren't really fan favorites. This was mostly due to how many reskins and gang fights there were in the game. Now, this wasn't really an issue for me because most of the reskins were just Erdtree avatars, dragons, and some cave bosses. And the only gang fights that I really genuinely hated were Commander Nile and the Godskin duo. But I can definitely understand why players didn't like the reskin bosses so much, since some important bosses like Moog and Estelle were basically just reused in different areas of the game, spoiling the mystique they had before fighting the real versions. But that aside, the Elden Ring DLC is coming out pretty soon, hopefully, and I know a lot of things people wanted to see is where it takes place, whether it's in the past, future, or in a dream, what type of new weapon and armor we will get, the possible new quality of life features, the weapons, but the thing I'm most excited about is the new bosses. So like the fanboy that I am, I came up with a list of the top 10 bosses that and I'm pretty sure plenty of other people want to see in the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Before I get into the video, I actually have a big announcement. I'm pregnant. Okay, I'm playing. I have a Patreon, and with this you guys would be supporting the channel a lot. You can submit video ideas, you'll also get like a day or two early access to my newest videos, ad free as well. We all know we don't like ads that much, and a tons more benefits. You will also get a shout out at the end and beginning of the videos as well. If you want to learn more, check out the link in the description. Anyways, back to the video. The first boss I would like to see is the Gloam-Eyed Queen. There isn't too much known about the Gloam-Eyed Queen. All I know is that she was a queen, obviously, and her rival was Marika. And I don't know whether Marika was a queen at this time, but who knows. According to the fandom wiki, the Gloam-Eyed Queen was an Empyrean chosen by her own two fingers. Not her actual fingers, these fingers. An Empyrean is a person who was chosen or created to have a godlike status. Most Empyreans usually were given a shadow. In Marika's case, she was given Malekith, and Ranni was given Blythe. However, we don't know who the shadow of the Gloam-Eyed Queen is. Who knows, maybe she doesn't even have a shadow. Anyways, she cradled newborn godskin apostles into swaddling cloth made of supple skin sewn together, and was known for leading said apostles. She also wielded the power of destined death. However, that same power was taken from her after she was defeated by Malekith, Marika's shadow. Overall, she would make a good boss fight. The problem is how she would fit in the timeline. But then again, if the DLC takes place in a dream, then this should be no issue. A cool horseman boss fight. Don't get me wrong, there's already a lot of horseman bosses in Elden Ring, but most of them just feel like mini bosses, or just not super important bosses in general. So imagine a horseman that actually has a cool unique moveset separate from the rest, and has a really cool cutscene. And technically, in terms of having a somewhat unique moveset, Loretta fits this. However, you can't use your horse in that fight, and it would be cool if you could. But yeah, super cool horseman boss fight would definitely make me love the DLC even more. An actual good duo fight. Ever since Ornstein and Smough, FromSoft have always tried to recreate a boss fight similar to them, and for the most part, they're not really good. The most infamous of all the ONS clones are the Godskin duo. Everything about this boss fight is just bland and not fun. Sure, there are a lot of ways to breeze through them, but at the end of the day, it's not a fun boss fight. At least for me. So I would definitely love to see a duo boss that's, done really well in the DLC. A beast-like boss similar to Elden Beast. I know this sounds strange since Elden Beast is not really loved by the community, but I think the main issue with Elden Beast was not in its appearance because, let's be honest, he gives off final boss energy. But the main issue was how much it runs away from the player, and also the stupid ass homing projectile spam. But if they were to make a beast type boss, with the size of Elden Beast, but actually make it so that it wants to fight the player and not running around the area for, a whole minute, then that would be great. Another boss I would like to see is Marika. Now I know this one definitely won't happen since technically we already fought Marika already, but and you know, since both Marika and Radagon are technically the same person, I don't know, man, but I think there's a way FromSoft could definitely pull it off. It just feels like we haven't seen Marika at all. Like, sure, we've seen statues of her and technically we fought her, but nah, I'm not gonna buy that. We fought Radagon, not Marika. Yeah, they're the same person, but I want to see Marika herself. Like, we never got to see her face. Next type of boss I would like to see is a cool blade wielding boss. I went over this in my other video where I was talking about top 5 features needed in the Elden Ring DLC, so go check that out if you're interested. But basically what I mean by this is that since every FromSoft DLC already has a cool ass, you know, blade wielding boss, FromSoft should keep the tradition going by adding another fair but challenging one in this upcoming DLC. Another ancient dragon fight. The dragon bosses in Elden Ring are mostly seen as disappointing, apart from a few. But the main reason why I think a lot of people felt this way about them is because of how many reskins there are. I mean, you have the basic dragon, a scarlet rot dragon, a magic one, and the list goes on. Now, those dragons aren't bad, but the fact that you fought them so many times with the exact same moveset kinda gets boring. The only dragons that felt unique were Placidusax, Lanciax, and Fortisax. So for the DLC, I want to see them create a unique ancient dragon boss fight with its own moveset and a cool ass arena. A boss in their prime. This was something I've always heard some people in the community talk about, especially when it comes on to Radahn. I mean, it's obvious that a lot of the bosses that we fight in Elden Ring and even other Souls games are way out of their prime. So fighting a younger, faster, and stronger version of them would definitely be cool to experience. And again, Radahn would make the perfect fit or candidate for this since, I mean, when we fought him, he already lost his mind and he was weakened, and yet even in this state, he was still strong enough, requiring multiple people in order to like defeat him. So imagine fighting a version of him that's not inflicted with the Scarlet Rot. The second boss I would like to see is Godwyn. Godwyn was the son of Queen Marika and Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, making him the scion of the Golden Lineage. Godwyn would eventually meet his end during the Night of the Black Knives. Because of this, Godwyn didn't get a proper death. Therefore, while his soul died, his body continued to grow and mutate. Lore aside, I mean, it's probably a high chance that we are actually gonna get to fight him in the DLC, or at least whatever is left of him. So I just hope that if they do it, they do it well. And at number 1, the boss that I want to see the most is Miquella. Now, judging from the picture we got, I'm not sure if Miquella might be a boss. Honestly, there's a 50-50 chance since he might just be our guide throughout the DLC. However, if we were to get a boss fight from Miquella, it would definitely be interesting. Are we gonna fight a Monster 5 version of him? Or a version that finally, you know, was able to get rid of his curse, since technically with his needle he can remove the influence of an outer god. Who knows? I just know that if they do decide to do it and make him a boss fight, it would definitely be interesting.